you're seeing a lot of people that were never fit, looking super skinny.
90+% of people end up putting on weight after they end up losing weight.
I have seen a lot of content from women about how they've gotten results from 1 month of lifting that they didn't get from 12 months of Pilates.
There's so many young kids being influenced.
The best solution is a simple, consistent, long-term answer, which is what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And we have a new segment for you today. We're doing a Coaches React segment because all the time I get asked very similar questions, especially with what's relevant on TikTok, Instagram, wherever it may be. So we're going to jump into that today, and we're going to react as coaches who have helped over 5,500 people transform, fitness YouTubers, people that have been in the fitness space for 15 years. So I'm really pumped to jump into this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the first one, and this was new to me actually when I was doing research, I am not on TikTok. I've worked hard. I feel like already social media is everywhere and it's so infiltrative and addictive. And I feel like TikTok is like the addiction down. So like that was the one where I'm like, I'm putting my foot down. I'm not getting a TikTok account. We have a Colossus Fitness TikTok account, which Kyle posts and manages too, but it's not something I actively consume. But I do know a lot of trends start there. It'll kind of be the foray of everything. And one of the most popular right now is the 3-2-8 method for women. And that is a viral structure routine for women to become fit, be balanced, have healthy hormones, and actually put on some muscle and actually build a healthy physique. And this is done by 3 strength days in the gym, 2 Pilates or barre classes, and 8K steps daily. And this one, believe it or not, I think is actually pretty good because I have seen a lot of content from women about how they've gotten results from 1 month of lifting that they didn't get from 12 months of Pilates. I think in general, women like classes. They like these trendier things more, and men are often similar, but I do think at the end of the day, it's easier to be like, oh, I'm lifting. Whereas a Pilates class is trendy. It's fun. Everyone's doing it. It's a cool thing to do. It makes sense that people want to jump into it and have it be their fitness. But what's tough with that is you're not actually producing much stimulus to put on muscle in a traditional sense. It's awesome you're moving. It's awesome you're building a strong core and shoulders, and it absolutely has its place. But I think in and of itself, you're seeing a lot of women not build the physique they want. And now that the myth of like lifting weights is going to make you bulky is gone, I think this is a very bite-sized way to enjoy both. If you like a class and you want to do that 1 to 2 times a week, you want the social aspect, you want to post a selfie, as long as you're getting those 3 workouts in, that's at least a good base and a good minimum. And I think this is something you can work off of. And it seems like a very healthy balance. I love the 8K steps metric as well. I've debated myself between 10 and 8. 8 feels very doable. 10 feels like the extra push, which is actually something I kind of like. I kind of like that extra challenge to get to 10K, but in general, I would still see it for myself be a successful day if I do get to 8. So for this reason, I actually think this is a pretty good balance, especially if you're newer to the gym or you're someone who's only done Pilates or classes. It's a very balanced way to still have that aspect, still be social, still get that selfie, but also build a really good baseline.
Yeah, once Josh shared this with me, I looked it up. I was like, you know what? I do not mind this. And even like, I'll give you an example. My client, Riley, she did a different variation of this. So she was a couple months out from her wedding. She's like, I want to go all in on this, but I love Pilates. I'm like, cool. So like each day in her spreadsheet, she would put in when she was strength training, when she was doing Pilates. Sometimes she would actually even double up, and she was ready to just like go all in. So she ended up doing a lot, which was 4 strength training that I programmed for her in her condo gym. She did 4 Pilates, sometimes even 5. And then she did 10 to 12K steps, which is obviously a lot, but you can see how incredible she looks and the muscle she gained and how amazing her results were. But it was funny though, because like even there's part of me, I'm like, I'm not going to tell you not to do Pilates. Like I think as long as you have that strength training in there to build the muscle, to shape the muscle, to focus on the glutes, the arms, like everything that we should be doing, and you have that extra thing that you really enjoy doing and that you feel amazing with, that's awesome. Like that to me, like I can't be someone that sits there and says, oh, don't do this. Like, you know, as long as the core is being taken care of, which I have to say is strength training, strength training, strength training. Now, if there was a trend that was 5 Pilates and then like 0 strength training and then just tons of cardio, I'll be the first person to say, hey, I don't think this is the right thing for you. We still have to get that strength training in. So that's why I love that that was included. And I do really like that step goal as well. So I give this a pass, and I think there's definitely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and I want to add, me and Kyle, sometimes I feel like we'll get categorized as class haters or that some things are bad, but I believe everything has its purpose. I used to teach Aquafit, and Aquafit primarily caters towards usually people with injuries or older people or people who want low impact exercise, perhaps some people who are overweight. So I used to teach this class, and this used to be one of my cardio sessions, and I really turned it into a workout. There's different qualities of Aquafits, but I would do this on top of my lifting, and I would see this more as a cardio rehab type class. And I think classes are phenomenal of all kinds. Like if you like Orange Theory, Kyle used to teach boot camps, like they have their place. I just think people will think they're going to build the physique of their dreams with these classes. And there are so many limitations in the sense that most often they're very cardio intensive. Look at like a Zumba. But if you're someone who doesn't work out at all and going to Zumba is so fun, you love dancing, you love the movement, you love the social aspect, like that's a positive thing. Embrace that. Keep doing that. It's just, I think the bridge of getting people to also lift. And that's where I like this, because like you can do any odd class activity sport you like, especially if it's fun to you. But ultimately, if you want to put on muscle, you want to improve composition, you want more longevity, you need stimulus, you need to lift weights, you need to be challenging yourself with that weight. And that's what's hard with classes. We did at F45 when we were sponsored by a supplement company. They kind of rented out F45. We were with EHP Labs and we did it. And it was a good workout. It was a good sweat. It was fun and social, but we all use the same weight. We're all different strengths, right? And it was interesting. I guess they had like a light and a heavy weight, but if you're someone who's brand new, you're effectively using the same weight as someone who's lifted 15 years and won several powerlifting compositions, done physique compositions. So it's not fully catered to you. Whereas when you're on your own program, you can build around that. So that's where I like the structured balance. And even for me with some of my clients, I'll say, hey, let's do our strength training together. You can do Orange Theory as your cardio. That's totally fine. You can do Zumba. You can do whatever you like. Like exercise and movement is a good thing. I think there's just too much of an attitude of it's one or the other. But instead, you should be saying, how can these things be complementary to each other?
And next up, number 2, we have hot girl walks, as well as just simply using walking pads. And what's funny is I've always seen stories being posted about hot girl walk with like a selfie, or like you're wearing a nice Lulu outfit or aloe and you are Stanley and you're like just on a walk. And I've seen so many people post it. And originally, until I looked it up, I'm like, oh, that's just is a walk in a outfit that you like. Like that's what I thought. And then I looked into it and I realized there's actually a viral 4-mile outdoor walk focused on mental and physical wellness. And I was like, wow, that's actually really awesome, right? The focus is expressing gratitude, visualizing your goals, and building self-confidence. And what I love about it is there's a bunch of different rules, right? Where you can't think negatively about yourself or others during the walk. You have to show gratitude. Like the first part of the walk is dedicated to reflecting on what you're grateful for, like big and small. You're focused on goal setting and you're focused on confidence building, which I think is awesome. Like to be able to be in the outdoors, to move your body, and it be about 4 miles, which is awesome. Like it's probably, somewhere under an hour, which is awesome. I just think this is a really cool principle, just because the truth is I talk to a lot of people who are really down on themselves. They're negative towards themselves. They talk poorly about themselves, their body image, their like everything like that. And I think to have something structured like this where you're bettering yourself, maybe you do it with yourself, you do it with a friend that you wanted to bond over and maybe talk about goals and, like just positive self-talk. I really think this is great.
I think this is amazing. I thought it was quite simply just getting out and walking more, because in general, I think especially people without dogs, it's kind of weird at first just to go on a walk. You're like, well, what am I supposed to do? It's kind of boring. Like, and a lot of people have this attitude of like, if I'm going to do cardio, I need to be running. I need to be intense and sweating like crazy. But like going on a walk is by far my favorite type of cardio. It's so refreshing. And I love the behind the scenes of what a hot girl walk is. And maybe that's something I'm going to have to try as well, because I like the idea of even saying, how can I get more out of this? So for myself, walking is a great opportunity for me to get into podcasts, to get into audiobooks, to listen to nothing, just be present in nature, think, reset, kind of de-stimulate myself. Because right now it's like you're always rushing from one thing to the other. It's so intense. And a walk is just such an amazing way to step away from that. Like even for me, when I go on a walk with my wife, it's a good opportunity to talk, to chat, to catch up, to not be distracted and really just be present in that moment, especially when normally there's so many things that can pop up. There's screens, you can get distracted, you can not necessarily have your full attention. So in general, just getting in the habit of going on more walks or even dedicating yourself to going on a big walk, it feels so good. It's restorative. It's not going to burn you out like a sprint or something else would. And it's just overall such an amazing habit. So this one, ironically, usually we're pretty against TikTok trends, but definitely has our stamp of approval. Next up, we have HYROX or a half rocks. And this one to me is very similar to the classes. Like, I love anything that inspires people. I love the social aspect, I love the competitive aspect, and I've always had the same thoughts towards CrossFit as well. At its core, I think CrossFit is genius. It makes challenge, it turns fitness into a sport, it makes it fun, but it has the same limitations. CrossFit in particular is done more in classes, right? So you're going to this class, you're all using the same weights, and then it got popular for people getting injured, and it was more advanced than I think the average person could do. HYROX is like kind of, in my understanding, is like kind of a work down CrossFit. Like CrossFit can get pretty gnarly at its upper echelons, whereas HYROX is like, it's more reasonable. I think it's still a challenge. And of course, a half rocks is still a challenge. And these things are awesome and it's good. It gets you moving. There's a mix of strength. There's a mix of cardio. And these are all positive things. So I have no qualms against it. My qualm is more so the long-term sustainability of it. I know so many people that are like, I used to do CrossFit and I was really fit when I did CrossFit and it was so fun for a bit. And then they get kind of lost because they don't know what to do. And that's where I'm torn with these trends that come in and out. And like even Pilates looks like it's starting to come out. Barre classes were super big for a while. F45 really blew up and was a thing. Like there's all these different things that really pop up and become super the norm, and they're super fun and you love it to death, and then eventually you're not progressing, you're just going through the motions and you fade away from that, and maybe you fade away from everything. And that's where I like 328, because at least it intertwined it with lifting, and I think eventually people kind of realize like, oh shoot, I can actually get the most development from just consistently lifting, and they'll pivot over towards that. So I don't have anything against it. I just think if you're going into this and inspires you, it's fun. Like I do just think people need to kind of have an exit plan or to understand that as well, because it will pass, it will fade out. And like, I guess if you want to compete super competitively in it, like at a super high level, that's awesome. But I think for a lot of people, they want to do one, they want to improve the time, which is once again amazing, but at the same time as well, I would be curious about injuries and how that all goes. So those are my initial thoughts on it.
Yeah, still, kind of relatively new. I actually have a client, I'm going to shout out Emily, who just did like a half rocks last week, which was pretty cool. And what I love though about this situation is that we maintained the core of our routine. I still had 4 to 5 strength training sessions. And the main change she made was that she started to run a bit more. She started to do a little bit of extra cardio. But the core of it was that it was built on strength training. It was built on becoming stronger. It was built on becoming a better athlete. And just, we really focused on all that stuff. I think where it gets really tough is when someone feels the need to just like change everything. And what I mean by this is, I go to the gym, there's someone who's just like doing some crazy stuff near me and jumping like crazy, like terrifying me, to be honest. I look over, I'm like, he's literally like, I'm going to pick my bag up. He's like right beside me doing these crazy jumps. And so it gets extreme when that is your identity. That's when like, that is the only thing, you got the HYROX shoes on, you're doing some crazy things, and that's everything. And so I think it's a very big difference between the person who says, hey, I want to do a HYROX competition, a half rocks. I'm really excited. I'm going to train. I'm going to still follow Kyle's protocol of the 4 to 5 strength training sessions. And I'm going to have this extra thing I'm looking forward to. And what's awesome about what Emily did was that it excited her. She was talking to me a lot about it. It pumped her up. We focused on really building the physique, which you can see here. She wanted to get bikini ready, and she's like, hey, I want something exciting to look forward to, and now I'm looking for that next thing. And what's cool about this journey for her is that there's something she's looking forward to. She's training for it, and then now we're talking about what to do next, which is awesome. And even she sent me a 205 deadlift PR literally a few days after, and it looked great. Like she absolutely crushed it. So we're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we can try something different. So I think it's nice to, if you're competitive, if you have something that will get you to go there, it has to still have that core of what matters the most, the strength training, the nutrition, and everything like that. And I just, once again, I don't mind it. I just think you have to kind of be careful with the way that you take it. Cause even for some people, if like CrossFit is like, I only do CrossFit. And then, for me, I have different phases that I go through, but the core is always, I show up to the gym, I push myself, I've got a great program, and I'll still always show up because I just keep the basics, what I focus on. And that's how I've been able to stay consistent over the years, instead of kind of going from one thing to another. And then if that thing has gone out, it's like, some people are like, what do I do now? And then they just lose interest and they're just not really excited to do anything, if that makes sense. So yeah, those are my main thoughts on that, if it makes sense.
And then next up, we have GLP-1s. And if you know what that is, like Ozempic, Wegovy, I don't know the other brands or the off brands, but definitely a lot more of this is going on. You're seeing a lot of people that were never fit looking super skinny. And there's a lot of talk about GLP-1 physiques. And that's where people get very skinny, but they don't change anything else. Because what GLP-1s do is they essentially suppress your appetite. They make you less hungry and be able to eat less food. And naturally, as a result of that, when you consume less, you can put yourself in a deficit, you can lose fat, voila, you will get skinnier. The problem with this is a lot of people will utilize GLP-1s while not changing any of their other lifestyle aspects. So they won't be going on walks, they won't strength train. And you get these looks where people just look really sucked dry, really skinny in it. It almost looks odd. So as a whole, I'm not a massive fan of GLP-1s because I just don't like short-term measures. That's my problem with things. And same with HYROX. Like if HYROX really fires you up and you do it and you lose this weight and you burn so many calories and you get super into it, but you don't change your diet and you just keep eating garbage and you're just burning a ton of calories. Like let's say you get injured and you can't do that HYROX anymore. You're kind of back to square one because you haven't changed the other components of your life. And with GLP-1s, I think too, if you're someone who's hyper food motivated, like myself, I have a lot of food noise. I love food. I just always want to eat food, but this is my reality. Like I need to live with this, right? And the solution could be, okay, well, I could obviously help that with GLP-1s. But to me, what I don't like is then it's like, okay, for the rest of my life, am I going to have to go on that? And I've heard a similar argument towards like testosterone replacement therapy. As you get older, a lot of men will take testosterone replacement therapy, which there's a lot of positives behind as well, especially as you do get older and you start to lose some. But even with that, they mentioned there are challenges with like if you go to airport or vacation, you need to pack that, you need to take it. If you don't take it, you're going to feel irritable. Like it's interesting when you become dependent on something, and that's my biggest hesitation because yes, you'll have to go off it, but like, is this something you want to do for the rest of your life? And I think for some people, they just can't start. They have a lot of weight to lose and they're like, I'm going to learn to create better habits and to eat healthier foods. And I'm going to start strength training and putting on a ton of muscle and aim to bridge away from this. And if that's the case, like, I think that is a strategy. I've seen that be effective. I am curious and I'm very realistic about the long-term success of this because as we all know, it's not hard necessarily to lose weight. It's hard to lose weight and keep it off. And one thing one of my clients said to me too, he said, like, you're a great example because you've been doing this for like 15 years and like, you've looked the same or incrementally better. Like you don't see me and Kyle blowing up and just looking horrible all of a sudden. Like we have learned the tools to have sustainability, to have balance, to utilize 80-20. I think first and foremost, that is the most important thing. And I'm not a big fan of short-term solutions, but if there's something you are doing, you could also use it as an intensive to do it really well. You could say, okay, I'm taking food fully out of the picture. Now is my time to like use that new energy and that thought and that brain power towards really learning lifting, really getting in a great gym flow, really learning to love the gym and make this part of my life, or do a 3-2-8 or something like that. You can build that foundation. You can do a cut with a coach. You can optimize for nutrients like protein so you're not losing a ton of muscle during this phase, because when you're in a deficit, you can lose a ton of muscle, especially if you aren't consuming enough protein, you're not moving, you're not actually challenging your muscles. So that's where like you can absolutely use it. And it's actually a great tool and complementary to coaching. It's not adjacent to that. And I think some people just think that's a solution for all. But if you're like, I want to see drastic change, I just want to remove the food noise, I want to have success, and I'm going to lift heavy, I'm going to eat protein, I'm going to learn the balance, I'm going to learn how to transition out of that, that could absolutely be a smart strategy. And like, that's something I could get behind more. But I just wanted to share some more of the behind the scenes of that, because like there are no quick fixes and you always want to be working to lasting results. And like, that's what I was saying too with HYROX. And I think pairing it with like, okay, like, can I do like 3 good gym sessions and do my HYROX workouts, do my runs, and find a balance for that and start to improve my nutrition so I can become a better athlete for HYROX. And like, you could see how that's a more healthy, sustainable, long-term approach. So yeah, that's my response.
Well, and what's interesting is that because of, it's getting more popular now. We haven't seen the effects like of what happens when, you stop taking it. Right. And that's it's going to be within the next few years or however long it takes until we start seeing that. But like Josh said, even like studies wise, it's 90+% of people end up putting on weight after they end up losing weight. And so in a situation right now, most people are still, if you started, you're still using it, right? But I always think long term, and that's where like I think we have our best results. And like what we've done is just thinking, hey, what's going to happen 5 years from now? What's going to happen 10 years from now? If I do something now, what is the future outcome? A lot of people are thinking, hey, you know what? I've got a barbecue next week or next month. Like, what can I do now to just like go quick? And it's usually not the best case, because even myself, I'm like, it's hard. Like I'm reading a book. I've read Atomic Habits many times. I've made sure to not bring stuff into the house. Like I'm constantly fighting that like desire to want to do what like my brain wants to do, but I'm learning more about myself. I've, made mistakes. I've gotten better. And that's where I feel like I'm in such a better position long term, because I've learned and I've experimented and I've tried different things. And even like on a side note, recently looking into this other gentleman who's just constantly promoting another GLP, tirzepatide, and he basically is showcasing. He's like, here's my life. I'm having donuts daily and margaritas daily. Like, look at me, and I'm able to be shredded. And then you look on his website, it's like $300 to $400 American a month, and I'm like, this is crazy. And these are people who are like, okay, cool, I got the subscription, I'm good to go. And it's like every single month, it's like this consistent expense in this thing. It's because obviously you haven't taken that time to just really sit down and figure out, how can I make this work and how can I reach my goals? And even for coaching, like what we do is we work through someone's situation and how we can help them out, and how we can actually work through their goals and what they're struggling with. And that's where it really truly is a way better thing to incorporate than something that will only get you results short term.
Yeah, and we guarantee our results. We really work from the individual up. So understanding where you're at, your history, how long you can be in the gym, what your goals are, how advanced you are, and building around that a very customized approach with consistent accountability and support, so that you can not only see change, but that you can keep the lasting change, that you can rewire your brain and create a healthier relationship with nutrition, with training, with your journey as a whole, so that can be inspiring instead of something that brings you down or demotivates you, or you're always reaching. Like, talking of food noise, I think there's noise of like short-term fix noise. If you're always looking for these quick solutions, or you want some magical solution to this problem you've had, like the best solution is a simple, consistent, long-term answer, which is getting a coach, having someone on your side, having someone optimize these components of your life. And if you'd like to work with us one-on-one, learn more about what we do, check out the first link. That is our website. We will get you incredible results. You'll be blown away with what you can do. You can see some of our transformations. And as you know, we like to keep it very real. So once again, first link, our website, colossfitness.com. Be sure to check that out. We're going to go into our last one that's trending, and that is looks maxing. I don't know a ton about this. I know Kyle knows a lot more about it. I also know there's different levels of it. I looked it up quickly, and I know it kind of started from like the weird incel community where it's like you got to look like crazy good and have this crazy jaw to make women like you. And I feel like it's this really wild approach, and like it's people going to some crazy extremes. I've always been a fan of like trying to take care of myself and to look nice and present myself well. I think that is something that's tried and true through history. And I think there's like a looks minning or something like that, right? Like for me, obviously looking fantastic, wearing nice clothes, brushing your teeth, like basic grooming, I think is always an amazing thing. I do think people take this to some radical, unnecessary extremes. And like Kyle will get into it in more detail, but my take is like you should take care of yourself to what's reasonable. You should push yourself to obviously present yourself the best you can. But I think most people will receive like 99% of the benefit of self-growth by lifting weights, eating healthy food, sleeping well, and grooming themselves. Like on a basic level, like if you do that, you are already going to be elite and you're going to be in a really good place. And like you'll receive such confidence boost and energy boost from just like taking care of yourself, eating good food, lifting. And like, I don't think you need to go to these crazy extremes of doing jaw exercises as a man, or like some of this crazy stuff. Like even women will do obviously Botox, fillers, like even getting like BBLs and stuff. Like to me, you can really like, or steroids, any of these things where it's like you're taking it to these extremes. Like if you get in the gym as a woman and you eat some good food and you work out 5 days a week and you sleep, like you're going to be elite. You're going to look insane. Same with a dude. I say this all the time, like whether you're young, old, anything in between, like you just start lifting weights, you start challenging yourself, you start sweating every day, you start eating good food and like making a measure to be better. Like you're going to be a glowing, radiant, strong version of yourself either which way. And you're going to be in a great place. I think people really take it to these crazy extremes. They do these crazy shortcuts. And like, to me, it's not worth it. So I think like this has become so radicalized. And I think ultimately we all know like trying to present yourself the best is a good thing, but that's my take.
Yeah, and like anything to the extreme is just extreme. Like, you know, if you're doing any of these things and it's just like to that next level where you just like are going crazy, you got to be careful, right? And like Josh said, there's the difference between the soft looks maxing and hard looks maxing. And it's funny because I think there's like, I don't know who started, but a guy named Clavicular, he does like these like live streams. They'll be live for like 10 hours a day, maybe the full day, and they'll go on like Kick and Twitch or whatever it is that they're using. And they're just like, there's so many young kids being influenced, and this is a whole nother story for another day, but it's just kind of crazy how, you know, they're so impactful to these people and they're even literally pushing them to go get like surgeries and do all these different crazy things. And it is kind of sad, like just the reality of all these influencers who are so powerful to that younger community, that 16-year-old kid who's just wanting to become better. And they're just like, you know, they speak a different language. Like, I don't know how these guys speak, but they're just like the whole looks maxing community is just, it's kind of sad. It's kind of ridiculous. And like Josh said, the soft looks maxing, you know, the different things could be getting a haircut that suits your face shape, following a skincare routine, whitening or straightening your teeth, building muscle or losing excess fat, wearing clothes that fit you well, getting enough sleep and eating a healthy diet, improving posture and confidence. I love all of these, but it's the stuff that's to the extreme, which when it comes to looks maxing, I think a lot of these guys are referring to, you know, even Connor Murphy, this one fitness guy who just passed away, RIP, he was in that whole, like, you know, his jaw just started to look crazy. Like, you don't see, like, a lot of these guys are doing these crazy exercises. They're getting different surgeries. Like, a lot of these dudes, even their noses, they're starting to do different things. And so it's just extreme. Like, it's crazy that people are going all this way to just really make themselves like look a whole different person. I'm just such a fan of taking care of yourself, eating well, you know, like looking the best you can, like Josh said, with what you have. And that's ultimately it. Like, you know, people are using things like rhinoplasty, jaw implants. Like, a lot of you probably don't see this, but there's a whole nother community out there, which is crazy. So yeah, just, I think it's pretty wild. So that's my main thought on that one.
Well, there you have it. That was our first official episode of Coaches React. If you like it and you want us to talk on other trendy current things, I think it's definitely a lot of fun. And once again, maybe some of our answers surprise you, but we like to keep it real, no BS, no advertisers. So once again, if you want to support us, sign up for coaching. Let us help you. Let us show you the amazing work we do and get you your dream physique, help you looks min or whatever it is, and help you actually see lasting progress and fit it within your life to where it's not consuming you. You're not falling for this insane, crazy stuff that's going on, and you get the results you deserve. So once again, first link, ClosetFitness.com. Be sure to check that out. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.